Okay, structural geologists, in the first video we talked about how we determined how points on a plate are going to move over time. So this line represents the amount of motion that this point here at Baja 1 is going to move to this point in 10 million years. It's going to move 510 kilometers, which would put it here. So that means that the whole peninsula is going to be moving in that direction. This video now is going to show you how you can fragment your image and actually do this on PowerPoint if you want to do it that way. If you want to print it out and cut it on paper, you can do it that way as well. So it took me a while to figure out how to do this, and there are always good tutorial videos on the internet, on YouTube in particular. Some of them are better than others, but I'm going to show you this one. So I'm going to exit my presentation view. So this is the image that I imported from Google Earth, and now I want to fragment it. Remember, we got our plate boundary, so what I want to do is cut it right along this plate boundary, and here's how I'm going to do it using the tools that I have in PowerPoint. It's a little bit tricky to do this, but once you figure it out, it's kind of cool. So you want to choose the tool here, which is the freeform tool, and you're going to trace out along that plate boundary. So I'm going to choose that tool, and I'm going to start my tracing outside of the image itself, because that's going to be an easy point I can come back to. And now I'm just going to make some clicks along that plate boundary. So I'm making basically a polygon here, and I'm tracing out that plate boundary here as if I were cutting it out with scissors. The red lines are divergent plate boundaries, and the green lines are transform plate boundaries. All right, now once I get past the image, I want to click way over here, and I want to keep everything in that image outside of the image, so that final polygon that I end up with is larger than the part of the image that I'm actually clipping out. And now I've got that. And now here's the tricky part. So I've got that polygon that overlies my map, and now what I want to do is use that to fragment my image. Here is the really important part. All right, I unselected all of that, so I don't have anything selected right now. And the first object I'm going to select is my image that's on the bottom, the map image. And then the second image I'm going to select is that blue polygon. So I'm going to hit the Shift key and hit select, and now I've got both of those images selected. You have to do it in that order, otherwise the picture on your cutout is going to get distorted. It's going to look really goofy. So you first click on your background map image, and then you hit Shift, and then you click on your polygon image that overlays that. That's the second one that you shift on. So now I've got both of those objects chosen. And now if I go to Drawing Tools up here, open up Drawing Tools, and once you have that open up, you've got a different menu here, and choose Merge Shapes over here on the left. And that's going to give you a drop-down menu, and you can choose Fragment, and click on that, and watch how cool this is. So I just clicked on that. It just cut those two images apart. So now I'm going to unselect all of that, and now watch what happens. I can click over here on the east part of my map image, and I can move it with respect to the other part. How cool is that? Okay, let me put it back where it's supposed to go. I'm going to hit this arrow up here so it returns back to its original one. And now what I'm going to do is move the left portion of this image. I only want to move that so that Baja 1 point here is going to end up here. So I'm going to click on this portion of the image, and I'm going to drag it so the Baja 1 point is right there. And now I've got it. So that's how I can predict this portion of the plate is going to move in 10 million years. It's going to move mostly by transform faults, but it's also going to be opening up on these divergent plate boundaries along here. So everything that's colored white in here would be new ocean crust that's forming during this time. But I've got a pretty good idea now of how those two are going to be moving. If you're in a situation where you have a convergent plate boundary, then you're going to have to maybe, if you use PowerPoint for this, you may have to figure out a way that you actually cut away part of your image of the portion that would be characterized by oceanic crust, which will subduct, but the continent won't. And so you're going to have to cut away the oceanic crust and then have the continental crust portion of it converging with it. But I thought I'd show you this on the divergent plate boundary. So remember that technique for how to fragment your image on PowerPoint. So now if I were going to take this and put it into a document, I could do an image capture of this whole thing and then paste that into another document, and that will work out pretty well for me.